person. He was an early adopter who kind of burnt out before the damn took off.
Before it took off.
Thank you for being here. I'm going to be kind of trying to steer this conversation along. The whole thing is to probably provide a different kind of conversation to a very bored audience, because I think uh, for all the discussions that I've seen on in these COVID times, let us now do this and do that. It has become kind of boring, and I'm just trying to figure out a way in which we can keep this discussion alive and kicking. So one of the things that I wanted to do, I'd gotten a couple of intros for you, but I wanted to make an introduction in a slightly different way. So I wanted to introduce Kunal not as the CEO man that we know him, but as a guy who was my classmate and somebody who we always knew was going to make it big in advertising because he was called Nautanki. So he was a full-fledged mobile theater in class, and we had no doubt about the fact that he was going to succeed big time because of peculiar habit of being a theater person. I'm going to say that in the most polite way, Kunal. So welcome.
Hi,
Thank you.
Kunal.
Thank you. Hi.
And the second guy, who's Swapnil, and Swapnil, I just became friends with. There are some people that you just have an instant chemistry with, and Swapnil was one of those. He has led a very interesting life, and I wanted to actually talk about him. He knows, I think he knows everything about everything. He was giving me gyan just before this podcast started about some books I haven't read, some television series that I need to watch, and the rest of it. And he also, in his spare time, happens to be the chief marketing officer of a very big company. And he has been the chief marketing officer of many big companies. And I wonder how he keeps it together. And he's been somebody who I have had a particular fondness for in talking about various things, because he's been always interested in innovation. And between 3 years at Mica, we have been part of a jury, just kind of roasting students on their projects, which was a fun time, wherein I found his insights amazing. So I'm asking him to bring his insights to the table for today's discussion. Today's
Thank you.
discussion, and I'm just going to end my rant very quickly so that I can get you guys to speak. Is going to be about, I don't know what this big mouthful of a topic is, Dalgona, Ramayana, and Pyjama or something, but I guess we can talk about it in slightly different terms. I guess Dalgona is probably a phenomenon seen out of digital. We see Ramayana, which is like a throwback to ancient times, and I'm in a pajama, so and so are you, and so so is everybody else seeing this, because we live in strange times. I just wanted to figure out if we can have an understanding of marketing, because that's the topic for today, right? Dalgona, Ramayana, and pajamas are just three indicators of this topic, but trying to figure out how in this now I go on and talk about the COVID-19 situation, but trying to figure out how marketers need to navigate themselves, whether you're on the agency side as Kunal is, or whether you're on the client side as Swapnil is. So my first question would be probably to both of you, and I just wanted to understand. So in the field of marketing, I'd like to start with the consumer. Do you think that the consumer has actually changed permanently because of the situation that we are facing? I'd like any one of you to go ahead, and then the other guy to give his 2 cents. Okay, somebody speak.
Okay. Okay. Swapnil, you want to take that or shall I?
No, go ahead. No problem.
Okay. Sorry.
You've got lesser hair than me.
Okay. Look, I think the question is, in a sense, the answer is obvious. The answer is yes, right? Consumers change all the time, and is that change permanent? The answer again is yes.
Okay.
How much of it, how much of it will endure, I don't know, but parts of it will, right?
Okay.
Will we get more comfortable ordering stuff online? Yes, we will.
Mm-hmm.
Will we get more comfortable paying for stuff, through digital payment apps? Yes, we will. Right?
Okay.
Will we be more afraid every time we meet somebody, hug them, get into close-knit environments where there are lots of people in the room? Yes, we will. Right?
Okay.
It'll make us uncomfortable for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to see a few years of no more incidents, nothing more coming, for us to feel absolutely comfortable going to a movie theater and sitting with 400 people again, right?
Yeah.
So I think that change is going to be lasting. I also think human beings are fairly fickle, right? Which is every now and then we tend to forget particularly ugly stuff and put it behind us and just move on with life. Right? So I think if nothing more happens for a couple of years, if we find a vaccine, if it's done and dusted, and we spend 2 years with no more, major virus outbreaks and no more incidents, I think there'll be some lasting pieces,
Mm-hmm.
like masks and a little discomfort being in very, very crowded trains and stuff like that, right? But I think beyond that, everybody will move on.
Okay.
That's my 2 bits.
Yeah. Okay.
So, so kind of agree with Kunal predominantly. Simply because, see, the reality is that we behave basis whatever we see all around us, right? And this whole COVID-19 is clearly a a very big phenomenon. I don't know if it will be earth-shattering or world-stopping, and I really don't believe in such big terms. But the pace and the extent to which it has affected everyone in today and now, I think, will have a significant impact on how we behave, and that will then translate into actually buy or consume or interact with people and with let's say inanimate objects, yeah, which is where our job actually comes in. For example, I'm saying I was actually going through a piece of Nielsen Forward, uh, where even now people are saying that almost 60% plus of them will not be going out or will be reducing, let's say, going out and eating at restaurants or going to movies. Now, obviously, there would be that impact of how much is that, but clearly, people that impact of social distancing will be felt in every interaction which requires you to go ahead and break this social distancing barrier. This will translate into travel. This will translate into, as I've discussed, entertainment. And this also, on the other hand, will mean that at least in the near future, people will have a lot more, what should I say, a lot more um, uh, observatory attitude towards whatever is happening. People will be a lot less risk taking. So risk aversion will grow, which will basically also translate into people investing a little more time and energy in, let's say, education. People actually not doing a lot of discretionary purchase, and people actually increasing savings. Yeah. Because I think in the back of the mind, everyone's asking this question, saying, hey, when can I actually, without a big thought of fear, leave my house and really get back to that version of where I used to be,
Do
right?
you think? Do you guys think it's going to be like that? Do you seriously think that, hey, it's going to be normal? Like, from what I heard from Kunal was like, all right, so if things don't really impact us, 2 years we get this, and that's good. That's linear. But do you really think we're going to reach that place at any point in time? or do you think that it's what they're fondly calling the new normal, and the rest of it? What do you guys feel?
So I'll give you my two bits, right?
Yeah.
My mother's TV is not working.
Right.
Okay. And she called me the other day saying, I'm sending the electrician home. He'll fix
Yeah.
the TV.
Yeah.
I was like, but it's COVID-19. You saw you want an electrician to come home.
Yeah.
She said, I don't care. My TV is not working. Right? So, at the end of the day, where the minute we are permitted to, we will
Okay.
slink back to old behavior.
Interesting.
But there may be some changes. There may be
Yeah.
some changes which may be dramatic, right? Um, for example, we may be literally. I don't know for how long we'll wear masks and get out of the house. That
Yeah.
may happen for a long time, and you might,
Yeah.
you've seen that in China, you've seen that in Japan after SARS, after H1N1, it became almost a habit that certain numbers, large volumes of
Yeah.
people just adopt, right?
Yeah.
Hand sanitizers, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, they got sold out very quickly in our chemist shops now. But is that going to be a lasting trend? I don't know. But between washing your hands
Yeah.
and having a sanitizer handy, depending on what you can afford, I think we'll probably see a little more of that, which is a good thing, right?
Yeah.
But will we stop having people over at home? The minute this opens up, will we be willing to go to the friend's house next time they call us home? Will we be willing to invite friends over?
Yeah.
And that I'm still pushing the boundaries. But the real test of it is when you need something, you just do it. So if your fridge breaks down tomorrow, if your TV breaks down tomorrow,
You find a way.
forget about COVID-19. You'll get somebody to come and repair it, right?
Yeah.
We all have to have milk in our homes, right? We are in Indian homes.
Yes.
Doodh has to come,
Yes.
right? Now, whether it's the Doodhwala, whether it's Amul, whether it's Sarda Farms in Nasik,
Yeah.
irrespective of what anyway, the milk has to come home, right?
Yeah.
Then we will try to disinfect it, do other stuff. But
You know who are the biggest guys who are jacked right now, Kunal? Are those people who have boyfriend situations. They are stuck and they have it bad, man.
yeah, but so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The minute you are permitted, the minute
Yeah.
society permits it,
Yeah.
I think everybody will release back into quasi-normal behavior, and there will still be a lot of people who will be afraid and who will say, but I don't want to mingle with people and I want to wear a mask.
Yeah.
But when when we live in India, when you get out and you realize there are 100 people around you mingling, and people are coming home, then you cannot self-isolate in that
Yeah.
situation.
That's
You'll have
right.
no
No,
choice.
I think as human beings, we always make decisions where we compare two variables,
Yeah.
right? It's as simple as that. So like Kunal has mentioned, I'm saying I stay in Delhi, right?
Yeah.
And the air here is poor pretty much all through the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm basically counting those 8 days that happened in 2019 when the air was safe, which
Yeah.
is why I'm saying not all, but because it's not 100%. It's
Yeah.
almost like our FMCG claims of kills 99.9% germs. Yeah. Which basically means people should be wearing masks for 357 odd days.
Yeah.
People wear masks for 10 days,
Yeah.
2 days before Diwali and 8 days after that, after which we self-justify,
Yeah.
saying this has happened since the past, and you've seen all of that happening on Twitter, where
Yeah.
this has become a religion issue, it's become a culture issue, this, that, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I think so completely agree. I think people make those calls, and if, for example, we don't see, and I hope and pray we don't see a second spike, a return to normal will be significantly faster.
Mm-hmm.
Right. As of now, people are behaving in a way where everything is extreme. So I
Mm.
put on Facebook saying, "Are people ordering food from Zomato?" And as luck would have it, the next day, and there were people who responded saying, "Yes, we've been ordering pretty often," and we hadn't. Right.
Yeah.
And the next day, it so happened that the Delhi news of a pizza guy infecting 72 people killed.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
received 19 people sending me that personalized message.
Yeah.
It was almost like my mom coming 19 times over and saying, "Dekha, maine terko bola tha." So, but that's an extreme,
So
which is
okay. So I hear
yeah.
both of you. I understand where you're coming from, but let me just kind of push back at this point in time, right? Here's a see marketing. I would say let me put my professorial hat on. So if marketing is all about aspiration, that we had a certain set of aspirations coming from a set of influencers and celebrities, and let's say that those influencers and celebrities were talking about a certain set of values, right? Now I believe that there might be a chance for us to say that consumer behavior is going to change to an extent that we actually are going to look towards a new set of values, maybe towards reacting, maybe at least temporarily, reacting, and therefore look at different sets of influencers and celebrities. What do you guys feel about that?
See, honestly, we buy everything
Yeah,
based on three basic, so to speak, drivers. Every
yeah,
insight that we actually spend time as marketers and make a lot of money
yeah.
uh, is basically an outcome of only three, so to speak, if I may use that term, basic instincts.
Hmm.
The first one is fear, the other second one is lust, and the third one is greed.
Okay.
Everything
That's
that
that's
we,
good. Then you've sorted it.
right,
Okay.
uh, it's basically fear, lust, and greed. uh,
Okay.
and I think what is going to happen, at least in the temporary phase, is you will see fear actually being the predominant driver uh, to whatever you're doing, and to
Hmm.
that extent, marketing will also both genuinely and frivolously, as happens most of the times, will modify itself.
Okay.
I also feel that at this point in time, because fear is what is driving a lot of our behavior and everything we do, right? So my mother-in-law, who's also with us, keeps on coming out with these WhatsApp university forwards about how you should not sit
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
an AC room, and
Yeah.
how now there's this latest piece that says COVID is actually spreading through water also, and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I think what's really happening is human beings will look out uh, for brands that to some extent reinforce trust. We will, I'm saying, we might not accept it, but we will look out for brands that give us, so to speak, a good news. It's almost like, if you remember Enemy at the Gates,
Yeah.
the movie, and in that, how he said that the way Russians will win is when we keep on telling them what's happening, and give them good
Yeah.
news and positive news. So brands, product services that reinforce and reiterate the sense of trust in
Okay.
consumers
Yeah.
uh, will actually do much better.
Okay.
Obviously, residual trust therefore comes in and gives you a bonus. But what we'll also therefore see is people actually trying desperately. So what I call emotional porn coming in, because people will try and get onto this bandwagon.
Hmm.
Um, and I think the last point would be that I really see in the world of marketing some push, at least again, and I'm saying nothing is permanent, but some push back towards um, a lot more emotion in our advertising than this absolutely basic, rational, spur of the moment, tactical ways of approaching consumers that has been the, so to speak, way of the
Okay.
world for the last
I'd
couple of
love to
years.
ask Kunal for his reaction towards that, because I'm sure a lot of the work that you're doing for brands right now is tactical, right? I'm sure of that.
Yeah, a little bit, but the bulk of work that we do, and in any case, most clients who come to Ogilvy come for the heavy emotional stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because they know that's what we do best.
Correct.
Right now, we're doing, even within the constraints that we have, we're trying to pull on emotional strings more than
Right.
anything else, right?
Okay.
But I think Swapnil is absolutely right. Human beings like to be reassured.
Hmm.
And when we are reassured, we will slip back into all everything that gives us comfort.
One of the things that I'd noticed, Kunal, was the moment they opened up the Wuhan lockdown, the
Yeah.
first thing that got sold out was the Hermes collection. So that shop got ransacked. So that was quite an indicator of these times. But what I wanted to actually lead on to, and maybe you can talk about it, is that if you're looking at, say, influencer marketing or
Right.
content marketing, I'm
Right.
just trying to get a handle of which kind of content will work coming from a brand. And obviously, as Swapnil says, there are some people who are going to try and hijack this trend. So
Right.
let's say those, and that's not going to work. But
Yeah.
here I look at certain influencers who have become famous, let's say on YouTube or Instagram, take anyone, and
Hmm.
they kind of represent a certain set of values,
Hmm.
okay, which were part of a very, of peacetime, I would say,
Hmm.
peacetime.
Hmm.
And now suddenly it's war, suddenly it's fear, suddenly it's survival. So do you see that shift changing, or do clients realize it? What, in your view, what do you feel about this?
Okay, so let's talk about influencers, content,
Yeah,
and brands, and
yeah,
I'll just freewheel for a bit, right?
yeah.
And
Sure,
whatever
go for it.
comes out of my mouth comes. Hmm?
This is the place, man.
Yeah. So my sense is, as a brand, you have to have a degree of clarity on what you want to stand for, right?
Yeah.
And that needs to have roots in where you started.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to build on where you are today,
Mm-hmm.
and in that sense, it needs to have a degree, at least a small degree,
Mm-hmm.
um, of longevity, right? So it needs to last you for a few years at least, right?
Okay.
Now, when you have events like COVID-19 and stuff, obviously you need to shift a little bit, but
Yeah.
you still need to stay true to who you are, right? Um, I obviously I'm in the business, so I see a lot of influencer marketing. I see a lot of content being developed that is, content that is in the moment, that typical moment marketing stuff.
Yeah.
I see a lot of content that looks at trends and say, hey, can we be part of this trend as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is a humongous waste of time and money, right?
Good.
Um,
Yeah.
I think it's bullshit. A lot of it is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I
Uh,
concur, by the way.
Yeah. I think as a brand, you have to have a sense of who you are,
Yeah.
what you want to stand for, and what you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to build a series of messages around that, right?
Okay.
Everything else is distraction,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like Swapnil said, at times like these, consumers will look for reassurance
Mm-hmm.
from brands on certain measures of health, hygiene, right? Wherever brands have a degree of interactivity with you, right? Like tomorrow, if for Tata Sky, for example, if we're going to send people into your home to install a Tata Sky box for you, and if
Mm-hmm.
that's the expectation, we'll have to give you a high degree of reassurance that, listen, in addition to everything that we want you to love the brand for,
Yeah. Yeah.
there is a basic hygiene that we will take care of. So when we send someone into your home, we will not bring a disease into your home and then get out, right?
Right.
So that degree of reassurance is required. And
Okay.
to that extent, events like COVID need to be considered, and you need to manage your marketing message to take big events like these into consideration.
Okay.
But
Okay.
everyday stuff, right? So the stuff that's happening every single day, if you're trying to hijack moments and trends and say, hey, I want to be cool because let everyone see that I'm watching the trends, and as a brand I'm adapting and I'm creating content for you today that's linked to what's in the newspaper today, I think is real rubbish. Hmm?
Right.
Now you can strategically say that for a length of time, that's who I'm going to be about, right?
Mm.
So if you look at the Amul work,
Yeah.
which is moment marketing far before anybody thought it was cool.
Yeah.
But to me, it is a concerted long-term strategy, right? That
Correct.
I'm the butter of India. I stand for everything that is Indian, and I will be the voice of everything that's happening in India at any point in time, right? And I will display that in my community. Then it makes sense to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a shampoo brand, and if in your advertising you're talking about, hey, this is what I stand for, this is what I do for your hair, this is who I am as a personality, and suddenly tomorrow you start hijacking trends and doing other stuff that has no link to that,
Yeah.
to me it just doesn't make sense.
Do you think? Sorry to interrupt you, but do you think? And Swapnil, I'm going to come to you also with a different part. Do you think that a lot of brands are doing that because they're just afraid that they're going to be completely lost in the sea of information that's coming in because of the COVID thing?
No, so when you say doing that, let me answer the earlier question first, right?
Yeah.
Why do brands do moment marketing and try to hijack trends?
Yeah.
It's only happened with the advent of social media,
Correct.
since brands built their own pages, right? and decided that I have to populate content on my page every single day,
Yeah.
right? Or every week. Hmm?
Yeah.
The minute you take that decision, you're screwed.
Mm.
Because you run out of ideas within 4 weeks,
Yeah.
and then you start looking around you saying, what else can I do?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And we handle social media for many, many clients,
Right.
and we do tons of rubbish work.
Yeah.
And most of it comes from saying, populate my page. I need 5 posts a week, I need 7 posts a week. I need to be saying stuff that, when anybody looks at my page, hey, they look at me and say, hey, I'm so cool, and I'm with the times, and I'm catching the trends and all of that kind of shit, right? The truth is, nobody's coming to your pages anymore. If you're
Mm.
not promoting the work, nobody's seeing it.
Mm.
Hmm? And if you are spending money promoting it, you might as well promote it with a message that is actually meaningful and builds the brand.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the earlier question. I forgot what
Yeah.
else you
I
asked.
think
No,
I
it's
think
okay.
for me,
Yeah.
there are just 3 points here. And
Swapnil,
the
before you
yeah,
get into those points, here's a question for you as a marketer, because Kunal has talked about it from a
yeah,
marketing communication perspective, and then and that's great, fantastic. My question to you is, now here's Zomato, right, or here's Swiggy,
yeah,
and they've changed their business model here. They've suddenly become a marketplace, okay, and they've suddenly
yeah,
started delivering stuff. So
yeah.
how do you actually look at a brand actually changing what it is? Because what Kunal was saying was, hey, a brand should be known for what it stands for, everything else is rubbish. Understood, completely understood, till the bloody business model is the same, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about this?
So, see, I think to an extent, we will have to always look at the new age economy companies with a little bit of a different lens, simply
Okay.
because I think they're themselves exploring who they want to be.
Okay.
Very few startups, and I'm saying, I'll still call them startups for the want of a better term. Very few startups are absolutely clear, like what was just mentioned. I'm saying, we keep on talking about, as much as you know who you are as a
Mm-hmm.
brand, you need to know who you are not,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's a critical part of what I kind of impress upon during the lectures, also during the course, because that sets the context right for everything that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the discussion on moment marketing, etc., focuses more on the medium than the context and the brand reality, which is why I think a lot of it gets lost. Now, I can also understand, as a marketer, one of the reasons why we want to do this is simply because um, there is a direct correlation between top of mind recall and market shares.
Right.
Right. So if I drive recall in a category which works on impulse, I get market share, and that's what we live for. But I think that's the reality there. Now, when you shift this focus to, let's say, the new age economy, I think uh, there are two things which are very, very different about them from everyone else. The
Mm-hmm.
first one is the fact that I think they're still trying to understand who they want to be,
Yeah.
right? So Zomato, for example, in everything they've been doing, they've expanded from being just a
Yeah.
delivery service, right?
Sure.
As I think they call it the O2 business,
Yeah.
which is online ordering business, right? So they've got into loyalty, and they've got into Zomato Gold, and they had Zomato Infinity, and etc., and they've gone into backward integrating into kitchens, and
Yeah.
so they're really looking at that. While Swiggy, on the other hand, very fundamentally focused on food deliveries as a business. So because they're exploring, I think no idea is ever taboo.
Uh-huh.
What they're doing by this, is actually cracking open an opportunity to ensure that their people are actually delivering and there is some revenue coming,
Okay.
right? So fundamentally what you're doing is Zomato is now becoming uh, uh, they're actually copying what Dunzo was supposed to do,
Exactly. That's what
right?
I'm saying. Yeah.
Right. So that, so to speak, mutation, for the want of a better term, and it's not the negative mutation. X-Men were good mutants, so it can have a positive connotation. But
Sure.
but that mutation will keep on happening
Yeah.
in the course of how these companies mature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the sense that is Ola a cab business,
Mm-hmm.
or is Ola in the business of providing mobility to people?
Mm-hmm.
in which case the business case for or the reason for Ola to be in your lives extends across every medium that you use to go from one place to another.
Yeah.
And every use case that comes as a part of this reality.
Okay.
So therefore, you can always question saying, hey, they started doing X, Y, Z. Why are they doing it?
Yeah.
But I think they're still crystallizing and getting to what they want to be. And therefore, I really don't know if Zomato and becoming a marketplace is going to be what they'll want to do for a longish period of time, because I'm sure there's a lot of money to be made in ordering in, especially now when people will order in a lot more than going out and
I
eating.
got it. I
Yeah.
got it. Okay. So
Why?
basically,
Why?
what I'm understanding is that it's like kind of they're still figuring out who the hell they are, even right now. And
Yes.
that's kind of playing out. Kunal, I got a question for you, man. Is it important for brand communication to be always serious in a time like this?
Not
Do
at
you
all.
think?
I mean, we use humor all the time, and some of our best work is work that uses humor, right?
Okay.
So you can be romantic, you can be emotional, you can be humorous, you can be serious as well. It doesn't matter.
Right.
There's a string of emotions that you can pull on anyone you like. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, every brand has a certain territory within which it should operate, right?
Right.
Build your own boundaries, work within that, and build a voice for yourself so consumers start seeing you with a little degree of consistency.
Right.
And Swapnil, I understand what you were saying about changing business models, and I get that completely. I'm saying, look at us as human beings. We all evolve over time. Yeah, how many
Yeah.
of us change careers
Yeah.
and pivot completely, right? But it
True.
doesn't change the essence of who you are,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
As an individual, there is something about you that stays consistent. Just be true to that. That's all I'm saying.
That's true.
Hmm. Interesting. So,
So how many of you know of the fact that Disney right now in the US started a good night hotline? So what they're doing is you call in that number,
yeah.
and basically one of the Disney characters will actually sing a lullaby for you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
How cool is that? And how on brand is that?
and
In
how
this COVID
on brand it is.
environment, it's just so on brand. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's a wonderful example of I don't know what moment mark. I don't know what it is.
It is. It is. I mean,
It
it's
is.
in the
It,
middle of this COVID crisis, saying, "Hey,
absolutely.
if you're stressed out and you need someone to put you to sleep, here we are. And we'll do it with
Put
our
you to bed
characters, with
easy.
our stories. Yeah, yeah. Put you to bed."
Kunal, as somebody who does origami, what do you think about meme marketing, man?
Sid, what kind of a fun? Sorry, what kind of a question is that?
No,
Someone
because you know,
origami. What do you think of meme marketing?
no,
It's like
because you're
okay.
somebody who's like always creating some kind of nonsense, especially when you're doing it. So,
Yeah. So
give,
look, I think memes are fun,
yeah,
and I think they have a degree of ability to spread faster than anything else, right?
yeah,
But again, I think they work best when they are human to human, right? I think brands trying to create memes is just really trying too hard. You're not as good at it as an average human being is, and you don't have the balls to do the kind of stuff human beings do, right? Because most brands will be guarded, saying, "No, I can't say this, I can't say that. There's only that much I can say." So you won't be funny then.
ah, okay,
Um,
As long as our fundamental question is, यार इसकी ना branding थोड़ी weak है, we can't do meme marketing.
yeah.
yeah. Swapnil, I was going to ask you that because there's a big dichotomy in the way in which you are on social media, right? I mean, I was pulling Kunal's leg a little earlier, but you're like a major meme lover,
Oh, I do.
yeah.
I love
Uh,
them.
so you must be finding it particularly stressful to be on the other side, right? It must be quite.
See,
How do you manage that?
no, so see the reality. So why does anything become viral, right? Virality happens only when there is a connection.
Sure.
The added challenge for a brand is
Yeah.
that this connection is contingent on what people think of you.
Right.
It's as simple as that.
Right.
Memes, when they come in, generally
Yeah.
tend to have very little context. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I shouldn't say very little context. They are contextual, but for the audience who sees it, it will make sense or not, right? So
Yeah.
there is 1.5 million Office memes, the Office series,
Correct.
right? But if you've not seen those, you would
Yeah.
not get them,
Yeah.
right? So So the point is that memes today are a very strong element of counterculture,
Mm-hmm.
simply because it takes out, as Kunal was mentioning, it takes out the formality of communication that brands do.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge at the same time is it's not easy to get onto that counterculture because you're stuck with
Yeah.
a lot of, so to speak, baggage. Can we break it and move on? Yes. But it requires, so to speak, that proverbial leap of faith to say, hey, we can do this. Right? And
Very few brands are cool enough to carry that off. Yeah.
It's
see,
not just cool us, it's also a rights issue, right?
Yeah.
Look at the
yeah,
That's
bulk
true.
of memes, they're about
Yeah.
characters,
Yeah.
shows, movies, human
Yeah.
beings, right? As a brand, you can't touch any of them. There are rights issues
That's
to
true.
all of them. Right?
That's true.
see, you
That's true.
have to be smart enough, and I just got this out of the blue somewhere. You
Yeah.
have to be smart enough, like Pete Best was. So
Hmm.
Pete Best was the fifth Beatle, right? He was a
Yeah.
drummer for the band,
Yep.
and then he got fired. The
Yeah.
first album that he came out was
Yeah.
called Best of the Beatles,
Okay, I didn't
and
know that.
you can't
See,
take him
I
to the
told you,
court for
Swapnil
that,
knows
right?
everything about everything.
You can't take him to the court for that.
You can't.
It's the smartest meme. It happened in the 60s. Yeah, but that's a meme. So you really need to therefore get a little ahead of who you are today as a brand and take that risk. I think because of the potential downsides of an effort like this are
Yeah.
significantly high,
Yeah.
people tend to, or brands tend to then hold back and say too risky, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where I think this will happen. uh, but I'm saying if my audience is sitting there,
Yeah.
then brands will finally find a way, right? I'm saying my 12-year-old actually talks in memes.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah,
True.
he talks in meme. I'm saying tomorrow when he becomes a buyer 4 5 years
Yeah.
down the line, if you're not talking his language,
You're gone.
you're irrelevant to him.
Yeah. Kunal, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just trying to get you off the phone. No, see, I'm getting questions from a lot of the students and learners and listeners to this. And one of the questions is, let's assume that you're in a strategy meeting, right? And let's assume, I don't know, to be honest, I don't know whether Dunzo is your client, but let's assume Dunzo is your client, right? And you're trying to advise Dunzo, and here they're saying Zomato is like fucking our happiness because it's now doing what we were doing, right? So, as somebody who's representing marketing communication interest, what would you say to them? Oh, actually, what you should be doing is maybe trying to do something else, business model wise, or should you be focusing on making your brand stronger? Or what would your advice off the top of your head be?
Okay, sure. So for starters, neither Dunzo nor Zomato is a client. So
Good.
I can freely say whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah. Okay.
So here's my answer to that, right? I would say, how confident are you that you can do this better than anybody else?
Nice.
Right?
Okay.
You have a service that you're putting up. How confident you that your service, the space that you want to occupy,
Yeah.
right? You can be amongst the top 2 or top 3 in the country in terms of delivery of that service,
Right.
right? How confident are you that when a consumer comes to you for it
Yeah.
versus going to Zomato for it,
Yeah.
your experience will be better,
Right.
right? And if you can be confident on that and fix that side of it,
Mm-hmm.
right, then I will advertise the shit out of it for you and make sure that you succeed there, right?
Hmm.
But if you're going to be worse than Zomato at it, then no amount of spending money on advertising is going to help you.
Yeah.
Right?
Got it. Kunal, any brand that comes to your mind? I think the Disney example was fantastic. Any brand that comes, it may be work that you're doing, it may be work that some other agency is doing. Any brand that is really standing out on the kind of work that it's doing right now?
Yeah, lots of them, right? So there's some work that we did for Dove. I think that came out of the US
Uh-huh.
on celebrating medical staff, right? Which I thought was fabulous work.
Mm-hmm.
There's work that we've done in India right now for Asian Paints, for Tata Sky. There's work I've seen for Cadbury, which is beautiful, right? We're shooting in people's homes and giving people a sense of what what the brand experience is like in this environment in people's homes,
Mm-hmm.
right? For example, the Tata Sky piece is about learning something new while you're stuck at home, and
Yeah.
they've opened up all of their learning services free of cost while
Yeah.
this entire piece is on, right? And
Yeah.
that was a beautiful piece. The Cadbury piece is about celebrating your time at home,
Yeah.
celebrating the relationships you have, the people you have, the time that you have right now in
Yeah.
this environment, and celebrate those. And all of those are true to brand, and I think they work beautifully. So it's great work. I love it.
Wonderful. Okay. Question for Swapnil. Let's assume that you have a budget going forward, and you have to split that budget into, let's say, branding, communications, or product innovation. Can you tell me what the split would be and why?
Oh, uh, so you're actually asking me to split budget between uh, two which are it's not an either or discussion, honestly. Yeah, and I'll tell you
Sure.
why. I think um, there is very clearly a job to keep on understanding what my consumer expects from me as a brand.
Yeah.
Right? If that's the one question,
Yeah.
the answers will be on both the fronts. There
Yeah.
could be a messaging point of view, and therefore an insight that leads me to talk about something,
Yeah.
or it could also be an absolutely new offering.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you'll keep on seeing her. She's
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
she's actually she's actually doing the rounds of the room.
You
I
carry
think
on. I'll keep waving at her when she comes.
yeah, yeah. She's
She's way
enjoying
cuter
this.
than all three of us, man. So this is like,
Yeah,
okay.
possibly the best achievement of my life. So that's what. Yeah. Uh, yeah,
So you're saying
but
it's not an either or thing, but let me just put you under
yeah.
the spot. यार मैं CEO हूँ, यार
Hmm.
अब मैं बोल रहा हूँ यार ये सब ठीक है, मगर मेरे पास इतना ही पैसा है, तू क्या करेगा?
देखो सीईओ तो ये कहेगा कि जितना पैसा तेरे को चाहिए उसका आधा ले अभी.
Correct.
That's also see the reason why I keep on kind of wavering away from this answer, honestly. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'll give you, if you really put my neck on the line, I'll also give you the answer there. The reason I'm wavering away from
Consider.
it is simply because uh, both from a point of view of timeline and from a point of view of what you're doing to the brand,
Yeah.
both of them are essential.
Yeah.
But having said so, in the absolute immediate term,
Mm-hmm.
it will also be very difficult for you to develop something absolutely new,
Uh-huh.
right? Uh, uh, so I think uh, if I have to kind of put some money before the other, I'll start with communication that, as I said, reinforces my brand
Okay.
and kind of reinstates the trust that people have in my brand, and that's where I'll start. And if I can then kind of put that trust and take it exponentially higher with an absolutely new product or service, then that's how you actually put in a flywheel and multiply the impact. Yeah,
Wonderful.
because it will always be very, very difficult for you to actually deliver a product in a very, very short term, right? And then that product actually being completely on your brand and justifying why it should be there. So there are too many variables there, honestly.
Yeah, here's, I'm glad you talked about trust. Here's a question that I've got, Kunal, from somebody who's listening. For if businesses are fluid with business models, is creating a moat in the consumer's mind only all about trust?
No, not only about trust. Right?
Right.
I think trust is a gateway,
Okay.
right? So I need to trust you to be able to love you and want you, right?
Right.
If I don't trust you, I don't.
Yeah.
But I think there are very, very few categories where trust alone can become a reason why I come to you. And
Right.
obviously there are categories, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can be in the healthcare service, so I trust my doctor, and I will go to that doctor more than anybody else, right?
Yeah.
But I also have to like her,
Okay.
right? When I go to my doctor, there has to be a sense of, this is the right doctor for me. I could trust you completely, but if I just don't like you, your bedside manner, your demeanor, I may not come to you again, right?
Right.
And that's true for brands as well. I can trust you, but if I don't like you, then too bad. A great example is the Tata Group,
Hmm.
right? I mean, any consumer you ask, the Tatas will always be right up there on trust, right?
Correct.
And yet in many categories they're very successful, in many categories they're not.
Hmm.
And so there are obviously dynamics beyond trust that play a
Yeah,
role as well.
it's interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
all
Do
right.
you know the most trusted brand in India this year is?
No.
It's actually Dell.
Oh,
Dell.
really?
Dell.
They must have done something wrong.
So no, but I agree. I'm saying what Kunal is saying. It's fundamentally saying trust actually gets you into a consumer's consideration set.
Yeah, yeah, I
But
guess
there
so.
are more variables that get you from consideration set to actually purchase basket.
Super. I think that's a great answer, man. Here's one question for both of you. You can answer it very quickly. Now we are coming into the fun part of things, right?
We have only 15 minutes
Or
left. Better be
this
fun.
Yeah,
this wasn't
yeah.
fun.
Okay, COVID-19, if that's a brand, right? What do you think about the statement? It has been undergoing huge brand building. Okay, everybody's brand building. It's trending all over the world. If coronavirus is to be treated as a brand, what insights would come out of it? What's the one insight that's coming out of COVID-19 as a brand? Kunal and Swapnil.
Yeah, I think what Swapnil said earlier is great. Fear is a great lever. You
Hmm.
can leverage fear really well,
Right.
right? And I think it's done a fabulous job of doing that.
Yeah. If COVID was a brand, I think they will start a streaming service and an internet service, because they'll say if you get out of your house, I'll come and catch you. So stay home and use our internet and use our streaming services.
We lost you. Your image is frozen.
Sid just froze.
Okay, come on, Swapnil. Maybe this is a good opportunity for us to ask each other questions. Yeah,
True.
till he gets back.
Yeah. Do you think Sid actually was asking questions that he's planted himself, or people are honestly online and asking
I
these
think the bulk of
questions?
them he's planted himself, and then some of them are stuff people have put in. Yeah. So Swapnil.
I should take a photo of him frozen on the screen like this.
Yeah, feel
He
free.
went away.
He'll probably join back in a minute.
Yeah, he should.
So, Swapnil, come on. Let me ask you while we're here, right?
Yeah.
As a marketer, what do you look for in an agency?
See, for me, I think the agency has to. For me, the biggest thing would be, if I would put it in a word, authenticity,
Hmm.
which is to say that the agency, and I'm saying because agencies try to kind of wing it a lot of times. Authenticity in the sense that they actually try to understand agencies and brands, obviously, you would see that there is a very strong sense of ownership that comes uh, in those agencies.
Hi, I'm back.
There is a
Sorry.
hi Sid.
It's
Yeah,
okay. We
so
started asking each other questions Sid, while you were out. It's fine.
See, I was not needed at all. Next thing. Okay, so no, so sorry. So you were talking about COVID-19, and I'm glad the discussion has moved.
yeah, and he's frozen again.
Yeah, you carry
Hello.
on.
Yeah.
Hmm.
See, the basic question that I have for you is the second question, okay? Because we are going to run out of time. Is if you had to actually advise an advertising and branding student, okay, who is going to enter the industry right now, okay, what would your advice be, and how would it be different, if at all, from them joining 1 year before?
So advise them in what respects it?
So,
As in
suppose
career advice.
I'm a greenhorn. I'm going to come into the industry either on the client side or the agency side, and you've seen this whole COVID thing going. Now, the reason why I'm asking this question is, see, we are basically very old fucks, and maybe we are not really. We are people who have seen war and peace. We've seen the pre-liberalization era. We've seen
Yeah.
liberalization. We've seen various kinds of shit happening in our lives. There's a certain gang of people who are learners who have actually experienced a protracted time of peace. Okay, and they are now suddenly facing something like this. What would your advice be to somebody who is joining in a sort of a warlike situation when they've been used to is peace?
So, okay, first of all, I'd say if you have a job, be thankful for it, right?
Okay.
Be thankful for it and be respectful of the opportunity that's been given to you,
Yeah.
right? And the second thing I'd say is you will be pushed to demonstrate value,
Yeah.
right? I think when we go through long periods of prosperity as businesses, and I'm not talking about the advertising business alone, I mean the entire
Yeah.
industry, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think when we go through extended periods of prosperity, a lot of people are carried along,
Yeah.
right? Even if they're not contributing that much, they carried along saying, "Chalo, haath pe rahe, kaam chalega," right?
Yeah.
That luxury will go away for a few years, right? If you're not really good at what you do, if you're not significantly adding value, you will find that you don't have much room, to last. So my advice would be, first of all, value what you have, and don't slack off, right? Make sure you're adding value.
Okay. Yeah. I'm back. Let us know what happened. Okay. Fine.
Yeah, so that's it, Sid. That's my full answer.
Okay. Swapnil, what about you?
See, so I agree with him. I think for me the biggest message that I would want to give everyone is tough times are great teachers. Yeah, because they push you to keep on delivering your best uh, with lesser resources.
Mm-hmm.
So they teach you enterprise. They teach you sense of what should I say, risk taking. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
a sense of um, at the same time they also teach you um, how to look for more creative solutions,
Yeah.
right? So that's a lot of good learning, and all of this happens with lesser amount of money available on the table.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, what it also therefore teaches you is to actually look at how to make the best of the situation,
Mm-hmm.
right? So for me, I think what people will have to understand is that they will have to sit tight in their seats,
Yeah.
because absolutely agree that they should be thankful for the jobs that they have.
Okay.
But at the same time, I think this is a great opportunity for them to learn very very fast,
Yeah.
because your learning cycles will have to speed up,
Okay.
and then make the best out of whatever you have.
What do you guys think about the gig economy in something like? Do you think it's safer to be an employee now, or do you think that freelancing? What do you guys think?
Sid, what do you think? You freelance a fair amount.
Well, I actually okay. My view on freelancing is that it's going to be probably a very good time for being a freelancer, because you're opening up to the world, because the world is becoming a little more open towards online consulting and freelancing. That is something that I'm used to doing. But I don't think that that's the case for a lot of other professions, maybe. So I'm kind of asking this freelancer. See, what I'm saying is, you guys have now faced a situation where, in fact, Sir Swapnil joined his job when he directly went home and started working from home.
Yeah.
He just recently joined his latest job. And Kunal, you've seen the world now from a different perspective, wherein
Yeah.
you're working from home. So, would you change the way in which your organizations would be based upon what you're experiencing, or would it, if once the lockdown gets over, you would go back to business as usual?
No, we're absolutely looking at business models that are different from what we do right now, right? And the reason we're doing it, and unlike everybody, is you realize that, hey, everybody's comfortable working from home. We're efficient. We're delivering everything we have to. Other
Yeah.
than the fact that film production is stalled across the country,
Yeah.
everything else that we can do, and we're even producing films from people's homes. We're doing that as well, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we're very, very efficient from home, right?
Hmm.
So the model has the ability to change now because we've realized that, right? So, for example, I have assets in Bombay, Delhi, and Bangalore. If we're
Right.
working from home, I know that I can utilize assets across the country, right, in any market virtually
Yeah.
when I need to. Because up until now, We operated as the assets you have in Delhi, service Delhi, Bombay, services Bombay, Bangalore,
Correct.
services Bangalore, right?
Yes.
Suddenly, if you know you can efficiently work in this way, you know you can pull assets. So that might radically change the way we structure, right? The
Yeah.
assets that create and the assets that fund clients,
Yeah.
right? It might, and we're thinking of it, right? The freelance question,
Yeah.
I think in the short term, in businesses like ours, freelancing will stop completely,
Hmm.
right? Because you will take every bit of spare capacity you have in the company and utilize that 100% first before you go out to anybody else.
Exactly.
True,
Yeah.
true, true.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. Swapnil, any final words?
No, no. So I agree with him on the fact that I think freelancing right now is in for a very rough ride.
Yeah.
Simply because people would want to. I'm saying I am absolutely sure that every organization as of now is looking at belt tightening,
Yeah.
even for the internal workforce.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, to really say, "Hey, I'm getting someone from outside who's going to do this job," is not going to sit really well, right? So it's about
Makes sense.
cutting discretionary spending,
Yeah.
right? And right or wrong, freelancing does end up being in discretionary spends, and I
Fine.
think that will be a challenge. Having said so, I also believe that while we would see a shift in how people work,
Yeah.
uh, I at least put a lot of premium on human interaction and face-to-face discussions, uh, and that's critical because I think online chats and technology, while they break down barriers,
Yeah.
geographical barriers,
Yeah.
they put a lot of constraints in how that discussion happens, right?
Yeah.
So I would believe the way, for example, organizations will adapt and look at stuff is, for example, come out with something that says, hey, I'll reduce my overall, let's say, cost of, what should I say, maintaining an office space.
Yeah.
Right, so I have 100 people. At any given day, I'll only have 70 people in office because now I know
Yeah.
that people can work. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also believe that while we've had a full month of lockdown,
Yeah.
etc., it's still too early in the days for us to actually understand what it does
Hmm.
to people's work-life balances, energy levels, and efficiency levels. Yeah,
Sure.
because I think all of us will agree to the fact that suddenly there is no sense of time of the day of the week.
Yeah.
There have been at least 2 Sundays when I've woken up said, "Oh, today is a Sunday," and
Hmm.
and I'm saying that can't be very very good, right?
No, it's
Because you're
not.
not
Yeah.
you're never shutting down.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zoom
Yeah, yeah.
fatigue as
I
Zoom
keep telling
fatigue.
people in my company as well, you have to take your Sundays off, right?
Yeah.
No matter
Yeah,
what happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Zoom fatigue is actually a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I,
yeah,
I
so
I think that Swapnil was talking about how people just stare at their own faces in Zoom meetings just before we started this webinar, and
Yeah.
it's absolutely true. I think we're still getting used to it. I
yeah,
think
I
before,
can.
yeah, go on.
It's almost for the first time I realize how many white hair I have on my face. I always thought it's all brown.
Right.
Yeah, so 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 I think it's a little too early for us to actually have a judgment on, therefore, having mass cases of people not going.
Yeah.
In fact, funnily enough, on LinkedIn, the global CMO of Burger King, Fernando Machado, just posted a comment. At least I saw it on my timeline where he said, "I want to go to office so that I can work less." Right. So you
Yeah.
know where this is going.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Well, I think that's a wonderful way to wrap this up. I think we are I think 5:58, so not bad in spite of me ditching you guys for a few seconds in the middle. Thank you so
yeah,
much, both of you. I think this has been an incredibly enlightening discussion, and I'm not saying this lightly. I think I'm getting a lot of comments from people who have just simply enjoyed this interaction. I thank you for being chilled out, the kind of people that I know you guys are, and thank you for just keeping it real. I hope you had a fun time too.
We did, we
So
did. Thanks, Sid.
I had a
Thanks,
blast.
Swapnil.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
thanks
right.
Kunal. Thanks Sid. Yeah,
Thank you. All right.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.
yeah.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye. Bye. Yeah.
Enjoy your weekend.